In today's video, we're going to talk about how much you actually need in a stock portfolio to receive dividend income that will set you free financially. If you're new here, my name is Alice and I'm a chartered professional accountant. I used to consult for companies on the TSX and the NASDAQ when I worked in management consulting. I also worked as a corporate controller for multiple software companies. So please do me a favor, thumbs up, turn on the notification bell, and let's get right into it. So the TLDR on dividend income is that you as an investor buy publicly traded stock. The board of directors of that public company will announce a dividend on a regular basis and pay it out of their after-tax profits. Dividend income, along with interest income, is one of the most passive streams of income or cash that allows you to use your own money to make more money. So I have a list here of both American blue chip stocks and Canadian blue chip stocks, as well as the dividend yields for these stocks. We are going to make a few assumptions for our calculations. We're going to assume that American people are going to buy American stocks and Canadian people are going to buy Canadian stocks, because I am factoring in tax into the calculations. Now, a dividend yield can change for a company, right? Because economic conditions can change, the company's situation can change, and the board of directors can decide based on the future outlook of the company, whether they want to change the dividend that they offer their shareholders. So that's why we have a good sample size. So the calculation for how this actually works is quite sensitive. So in the finance world, when we have calculations that are sensitive, we like to do something called, running multiple scenarios, called cases. Worst case, base case, and best case. We can make a quick assumption that a worst case scenario would be 3%, a base case would be 5%, and the best case would be 8%. So we're going to use these three data points to help us with the calculation. A couple more assumptions that I want to state before we get into the calculations. The first is that we're going to assume that you don't have any other sources of income. The question is, how much money would you need in a dividend portfolio to be financially free, assuming that that's the only assets that you owned, okay? So no other sources of income, you're not working, you don't own rental property or anything else. So it's a very zoned in and specific calculation. Now, this is also going to be a simple calculation, so it's not factoring into account dividend reinvestment. If we wanted to factor in dividend investment, we would have to get out of the whiteboard and we have to get into Excel. We're going to keep it with the whiteboard today. We're going to keep it simple. So this calculation is actually conservative, so it's a good thing. Okay, we're actually going high on these numbers. If you were to factor in dividend reinvestment, the numbers would be actually a little bit lower. If you are curious on how dividend reinvestment works, then I recommend you check out another video that I made recently, Beginner's Guide to Dividend Investing. Another assumption we're going to make is that we're not considering the growth price of the stock, okay? So we're going to assume that the stock price stays relatively stagnant. If we start to add too many variables, then we would need to get into Excel. If you guys are interested in me doing a more complex version of this calculation with more variables, let me know down in the comments below and I'd be happy to make that video for you guys in the future in Excel. So let's start with the formula. We have to go backwards and start by asking the question, how much money do we expect from our portfolio every month? And a good place to start is expenses. Okay. So assuming you want to make $2,000 of cash flow from your stock portfolio, you have no other sources of income, your tax rate on qualified dividends would be 0%. So your before tax amount is $2,000. And if we were to annualize this, multiply by 12, it would be 24,000. We're gonna do the same thing for 3,000. 3,000 times 12 is 36,000. Now that was easy because tax was 0. Now if we move up in the tax brackets and we have a 15% tax rate, so it'd be $4,000 divided by 0.85. And if we multiplied 4,706 by 12, it'd be 56. Same thing for the $5,000, $5,000 divided by 0.85 multiplied by 12. So now we have this number. Now we need to divide by the dividend yield. So remember from the other board here, I kind of just took a whole bunch of stocks, US and Canadian stocks. We talked about how we're going to have a worst case, base case, and best case scenario. So when it comes to the calculation, we're gonna take 24,000 because that's how much we wanna make before tax, okay, to give you $2,000 a month. of cash flow. We're gonna take 24,000 divided by 0.085. 24,000 divided by 0.085. 24,000 divided by 0.056. I'm gonna round to the nearest thousandth just to make this a little bit easier on the eyes. But the actual number is 428,571, okay? And then 24,000 divided by 0.032. So as you can see here, it's a very big range in calculation, right? Depending on what you invest in and what the average dividend yield of your portfolio is. So that's why it's important to run multiple scenarios and take into account multiple cases, okay? Because that's gonna allow us to extrapolate all the data, come up with a median and an average, and then do a bit of a qualitative analysis just to talk about some of the things that you would consider when you do this sort of calculation. So let's do the same thing for $3,000 a month. So for the 4,000, it would be 56,471 divided by 0.085. So we have a lot of numbers on the board. I mean, it's quite a range, right? The best case scenario is you have a $280,000 portfolio that pays you 8.5% on dividends, upwards to a $2.2 million portfolio. So it really depends on your monthly expenses. The tax rate does impact it as well as what the actual range is for the dividend yield. And we're actually not factoring into account dividend reinvestment or the growth price of the stock, okay? So that actually makes calculation overall more conservative, a little bit more conservative than it needs to be. But I always preach more conservative calculations, especially when it comes to this sort of stuff. Now, how can we interpret this data and come up with a conclusion? I did run the numbers, and the median or the middle range for all of these numbers here is about 790. And the average is about 904. So assuming that you are okay with somewhere in between all of these calculations, so something like between 3,000 and 4,000 a month, and then also just all of the different cases, it's somewhere between 800 to 900,000 based on these calculations. So I really hope that this calculation gave you a bit of an aha moment in the thought process behind how you would reverse engineer your goals to go back to a number that you need. Now, what can we conclude from this calculation here? The takeaway and the aha moment is that you would need a portfolio value of approximately that of a house. Again, this depends on where you live. If you live kind of in a rural area in the middle of nowhere, then a house might be much cheaper. But if you live in a major city, California, New York, Toronto, Vancouver, this is about the average value of a house, which makes sense if you think about it. Like, compare dividend income to rental income. If you owned a house that was fully paid off, okay, and you were getting rental income from it, you had a tenant living in it, it would probably pay you, depending on the value of the house, somewhere in this range, right? It's hard to really say, depends on the value of the house, depends on some other stuff like expenses and stuff like that too. But I think it's an interesting comparison, like thinking of it as a house versus a stock portfolio. The difference between the rental property and the stock portfolio is that with rental property, you can rent it out and have somebody pay off the value of the house. Whereas with the stock portfolio, this has to be your own money. In theory, you could borrow money, kind of like how you would get a mortgage for your loan, but that's kind of beside the point. The point is that it's about the value of a house, and it makes sense if you compare it to a rental property that was fully paid off and you rent it out, it would probably yield you about the same income as your stock portfolio. Last thing I want to talk about is this definitely a long-term retirement plan strategy. So for most people, it's unlikely that they would just have $900,000 of cash to go create a portfolio to be able to generate enough income for financial freedom, right? So this is something that would have to be built up over time. Okay, so over time, you put in more and more and more money to your dividend portfolio. It grows with the market, and once you hit a range of this amount, in theory, at least with the title of this video, you would be able to achieve financial freedom, have the cash flow from your stock portfolio, and have the cash flow from your portfolio so you don't require earned income. Personal finance is really interesting because you don't know what you don't know unless you learned it in school or somebody taught you, maybe your parents did this sort of stuff and they taught you and they showed you how to do it. But I think for most people, and most people watching this video, that probably isn't the case. I mean, I didn't learn this in school. I personally learned this through like work experience, right? As a chartered professional accountant. So I hope it provides you with some perspective wherever you're at in your personal finance journey. If you found this video helpful today, please hit the thumbs up button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know down in the comments below whether you have any questions about dividend investing, dividend income, passive income in general, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time.